Before we get started today, I wanted to take a moment, Senator Romney, to reflect on the impact that you've had on the Senate in the time that you have been here, and note how much I'm going to miss working with you when you retire. Ranking Member Romney has been an incredible partner both on this committee and in the important bipartisan legislation that the Senate has passed in the last few years. Senator Romney, your dedication to public service is clear, and people of Utah, Massachusetts, and the United States are better off due to your years in elected office. So thank you for your hard work. And there's more hard work to do, so I look forward to continuing our important work for the remainder of this Congress.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going to say good afternoon to everybody and welcome our distinguished panel of witnesses. Thank you all for appearing today to discuss potential threats to national security posed by advanced and emerging technologies and what steps the federal government can take to mitigate risk and encourage the responsible development of next-generation technologies. I also want to thank Ranking Member Romney and his staff for working with us on this hearing and for our continued partnership to address emerging threats to the nation. Today's hearing brings together a group of experts in technology policy who have previously served as government officials and who are now providing important and valued insight on the development and applications of advanced technologies. We'll hear about the potential dangers to public safety and security that may be posed by emerging technologies, such as artificial intelligence and quantum technology. We'll also hear about the actions that Congress and the executive branch can take to mitigate these risks while still working to maintain the United States' technological innovation edge and stay ahead of our global adversaries. Public and private investment in the United States have fueled the rapid growth in the power and availability of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and other emerging technologies, and our nation is well positioned to benefit from the technological revolution that is already underway. However, bad actors will also undoubtedly seek to use these powerful technologies to launch a higher volume of new and more severe attacks aimed at the American people. As we will hear today, AI and other advanced technologies pose real public safety risks, which Congress is just beginning to address. For example, although there has been considerable congressional attention paid to many of the public safety risks posed by artificial intelligence, there has been less focus on so-called catastrophic risks posed by AI, such as the ability of AI to help terrorists develop and use unconventional weapons. I'm working on a framework to support research into safer AI that, in its fundamental design, cannot easily be abused by criminals and cannot easily behave in unexpected ways that would harm the public. Congress needs to look closely at ways to require AI to be designed in a fundamentally safer way and, in time, require all AI hardware to be restricted to running only fundamentally safe systems. I look forward to hearing from all of our witnesses about how Congress and the federal government can successfully encourage technological growth and keep the American people safe, secure, and free. I now recognize Ranking Member Romney for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate your willingness to hold this hearing, and I particularly appreciate the chance to speak with these three individuals. As you know, we've been receiving a lot of briefings from various luminaries in the technology community on matters relating to AI, but I'm afraid they're not as closely involved to the nitty-gritty of what's happening in the AI world as each of the three of you are, and therefore I particularly look forward to your testimony today and for our chance to ask you some questions. I'm in the camp of being more terrified about AI than I am in the camp of those thinking this is going to make everything better for the world. Even though I know in the analysis that's been done so far that there are wonderful advances that would surely come as a result of AI. I just saw a study, you may have seen it with the Boston Consulting Group, where they put two different groups of consultants on various tasks. One had access to AI, the other did not. The one that had access to AI ended up producing a superior product in most cases. And it's like, okay, that'll make us more productive in providing advice and counsel and doing all sorts of other procedures in the business world. I'm sure government can be made more effective. I'm sure research in a whole host of areas, including medical, will be more effective. So there are wonderful benefits, but at the same time, there are enormous risks to humanity at large, to our national security domestically, to jobs in the U.S., to a whole host of things. And I must admit, the frightening side has the edge, at least in my own thinking. The discussions that I've heard so far about AI look at ways for us to potentially prevent some of the most severe downsides. One is, individuals point out correctly that we need to coordinate with other nations and perhaps have some kind of an international consortium or international agreement that relates to AI. I don't know how that would work, where it would be housed, how we would initiate that, and whether that's realistic. There's also been discussion that we need to have a separate agency or department of the federal government with individuals who focus on AI and look at the companies developing it, developing strategies, and giving advice and counsel to people like the chair and myself. Frankly, a lot of, in my case, 76-year-olds are not going to figure out how to regulate AI because we can barely use our smartphone. So that's another area, which is, should we have that kind of an agency or that kind of a department? There's also been a discussion that before a new AI generation is released to the public or put on open source, that it ought to go through some trial period with individuals, expert testing it and seeing if it can be abused and how it could be abused, and perhaps limiting its public launch until it's actually had those potential flaws corrected. And finally, a question of how can we control the world's worst actors from having access to a technology that they could use to threaten us or threaten humanity, for that matter. And some have suggested that because of the computing power necessary for AI systems to work, that we could manage the flow of and the presence of, if you will, large power semiconductor chips, see where they are, see who's making them, see where they go, restrict where they go. I don't know whether that's a realistic option for management of this or not. But those are, I think the questions that, for someone like myself who's more concerned about the downside than the upside, my question is, how do we, and recognizing that this is going to be all over the world, what can we do to try and prevent as much of the downside as possible? So with that, Madam Chair, I look forward to your questions, and I may have one or two myself.
Excellent. And I, too, am more focused on the potential downsides here, understanding that there are, of course, upsides to this emerging technology as well, including in the healthcare arena. But I don't think supporting the emerging positive sides of this means we shouldn't worry about or focus on the real risks that we face too. So before we proceed to testimony, it is the practice of the Homeland